I'm Megan Benanti. Thanks for joining me today. I've got your reading for 2021. Let's take a look at our year at large. And I want you to know that this is really going to be applying to those of us in the US. But if you've got feedback from another country and you feel it applies to your 2021, please let me know. This is a general overall read. I will be doing other readings that are going to be more specific to each of your numerology numbers and birth cards. So, first off, I'm working with Judgment in the World 20 and 21, and also High Priestess, the Fool, High Priestess, and the Magician. And so working with reading these, we're tying in charms, and we're tying in World and Judgment cards also from other decks and things that we're going to be looking at and releasing and letting go. So as we move into 2021, it's kind of funny. The first thing I notice is we've got like a spacesuit and we have a shield as far as our charms that go. So, this is our year of using good judgment, of assessing. We're looking at the bigger picture. We're also really looking at healing, and we're looking at our country, at healing us. It's like you guys have to protect us, and that's what we're looking for our government. So that's really interesting that this comes up. And the world is such a magical picture because literally it's the woman in the bubble. So, and maybe that is kind of a hazmat suit in their own way, but this is also like, it is time for us to break out of our old thought patterns. And that's going to be part of this year for us. It's higher level thinking. It's also using self-precaution, taking responsibility for ourselves, as I see both in the shield and our little space guy. Messages of healing are going to come through. We'll definitely all be able to get vaccinated. Those of us that want to be vaccinated, we are going to have people that are resistant, and people that are in more rural areas, like in some of our mountain people in the Appalachians and things like that. Also maybe up in Idaho and those areas. They're not going to be looking at the vaccination as much because they're really not getting the exposure that those of us in the cities or more urban areas are, even suburban areas. So, people need to take this at their own pace, and I think that's something that we're going to see them do. We're looking at the individuals of breaking down each of this year with the High Priestess, the Fool, and the Magician. And we're going to have a lot of spiritual growth on many levels. That's happening for all of us. And whether you're connected to a religion, but of course we're seeing a lot of that breakout now where people are looking at spirituality from a much more individual level. Instead of being told what to do, we're defining that for ourselves at this point. And so there is a lot of accepting our heritage and our roots. It's looking back on our past. It's understanding Judeo-Christian backgrounds and pagan belief systems and Muslim belief systems and Hindu and Buddhism and whatever else comes in there as far as thought processes, and looking at all of those and taking the best eggs of that and really putting together our own belief system as we move forward. So there's a lot of personal choices you're going to be making, and move slowly with that, move cautiously with that. Don't believe everything that comes up for you, because I do feel like that's something we're going to be collectively deciding is our spiritual beliefs and our ethics that tie in. There's such an acknowledgement too with this that, like, I do not want to go back to 2020 or anything like 2020. It's like, let's burn up last year. And, I would like to acknowledge, though, there's a lot of energy that we are collectively moving forward, that this is time for change. We are willing to take a leap of faith. It is not about what we've ever seen before. In some ways, people aren't even considering what they've seen before. They just want to be away from that. And so it's kind of burning down old belief systems. And what we take forward with us is very small amount. What's really important as we move into this year. Family, close friends, what's really valuable in our lives. So, those might be trinkets around the house, but they might also be more about memories and things like that. So maybe you don't need the photo album, maybe you just need the phone to keep the photo album in. So it's just kind of interesting as we look at this. We've also, much more about female spirituality is coming forward. And we need to look at that. For the last several thousand years, it's all been about the male belief system, the patriarchal system, God the Father, Lord and Savior, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And so all of a sudden there is this like growth in priestess and goddess love and going into that realm. And so this is also going to be taking us back into some of the older religions back where we had goddesses. And that is kind of our launch pad, because I think a lot of people are needing to connect, but they don't necessarily know what that is. Like, we look at the Greek and Roman goddesses, we look at the Egyptian goddesses, and maybe we are connecting with those, but I also think that people are like, yeah, but it's something bigger than that now. Like, that was an old belief system, and this is growing into something new. And so I want you to get in touch with your roots before you jump into your future. You need to know what your baseline is. And so that's very significant here. And this is going to be a very fertile spiritual period. Also, I'm picking up a lot of growth around plants and gardening this year. And I know we had a lot of that from 2020, but I think that was more like beginning to have an understanding, especially in urban environments where people didn't really grow up with that. This is going to be explosive, like replanting the earth, particularly in the US. So planting trees, growing fruits and berries and nuts and whatever you can, but it's really redeveloping the environments, this is tying into urban environments as well as replacing anything that's been damaged, anything that burned previously, particularly in California. We're putting a lot more emphasis on the restoration of the country, the beautification process. And this feels like it's also going to be part of likely to be a stimulus package from the government. As it was like in the Depression era, they spent a lot of, just to give people work, they'd start building up parks and recreational ways or centers, which are, were different back then than what we think of them now. It's not like the rec center in the building. It's an outdoor area, maybe having fireplaces set up in parks and things like that. So I do feel like there's a whole emphasis on regrowing our country, which is beautiful, and clearing up garbage and trash and really looking, and that's really coming up in waterways as well. So a lot more purging in that area and making our homeland everything we want it to be, so that there's not this need. I mean, not that we don't want to go abroad to experience that, but part of what we go abroad for is to see how other cultures do it. And I think this is an up level on our culture. Also, everybody's going to be manifesting, like, what I want this year, what am I going to make change in my life? And there's a fierceness to that, and there's loyalty and commitment seem really important. There's also really getting organized, because I think we really got clear on all the things that were getting that created chaos in our lives this year. And this is also tying into companies and businesses, and they're going to be filtering out, there's going to be more purging of people. I feel like they're going to be filtering out people because the roles aren't necessary anymore. And really, it's like one person is now doing the job that 5 people did before, and so it's totally not functional. And it's almost like they're starting from scratch, and they're going to rebuild what the roles of the company need to look like so that we're working in a more effective way. So you're going to see that change really happening. And so even if you have a layoff, or you're let go of for whatever reason, or you decide to leave, know that there'll be new opportunities coming. They're going to be they'll be more comprehensive, they'll be more interesting, and they're going to touch into a lot of different areas. So you would be moving into a new role. There would be growth with the new role that you take, because it kind of never existed before. So that's going to be interesting. Also, there's some self-doubt coming up, so don't be afraid to channel that energy. It's like, okay, God, I don't know what I'm doing here. I need you to work through me, bring that energy through me, and provide what I need to accomplish this task at hand. All right, so things that we need to let go of. Closure. You're not going to have closure. There is not a complete closure of 2020. We are blending into this new year, which was also part of the weirdness. I felt like 2019 didn't have a proper ending. It just blended into 2020, and then all of a sudden it was February, and it was like, oh, it didn't even feel like the year started, and then we went into shutdown. So there is not going to be closure, and I want you to be prepared to just let it go. You know, this energy, we're going to be refilling and restoring ourselves in new ways. It's looking for a soft place to land. It's getting comfortable. It's like, okay, this is my new way of living. It isn't going away. It's not a perfect new year. And so it's a new level of comfort. It is a more casual style of dress. So you're still, all those suits and things, you might be ready to get rid of them, because you're not going to be using them, and by the time they come back in, you're like, are these going to be in style? Well, maybe not. Our fashion is going to have changed. And so I don't know if you need to really clear out that closet, or just put things away kind of in your into your winter season closet with the cedar chips and stuff, because they're not going to be being used yet. Also, new awareness, thought processes. People are so much more open to receiving messages, and I feel like they're going to be latching onto that in every direction, whether that's through YouTube or Instagram or the church. They're going to be, or their synagogues. It's going to be coming from all over, because people are connecting with their own angels and guides now, and they're learning to listen to their intuition. So there's so much growth in this. And I even have the pagan symbol here coming up. And that seems also significant, that what I mentioned earlier, there's a sense of tying back to our roots, but don't hold on too tightly. You're going to be moving beyond this, and the messages you're getting aren't connected to your past. They're connected to your future, and more about our kind of future belief system spiritually. It's going to be changing and evolving. And so don't feel like you have to think about it old school ways. Also, communication. The computer is here as far as my charm, and so we're going to continue to connect in that way. I also need people to disconnect, because I feel like their plate is getting too full. It's too much time online. Maybe there's a growth in those wearing blue light glasses. That might be an industry to invest in. But do consider the way that you're doing your screen time. It needs to be different. You need to be breaking away from that and setting it down and looking at what fulfills you, because it's not your computer. Now, what do you need to do to aggressively move forward this year? Be complete in and of yourself. We have a balance of elements around her here, but we don't have our four gospels. We just have the elements. And so, this is really being okay in your own skin. She's clothed. She's not feeling fully naked. We clearly have a female. It's not about being gender neutral here. It's identifying with yourself and who you are as an independent person. So I want you to really take ownership of that, and it's so much about simplification and reaching maturity in that simplification. I've got a full pumpkin charm. It takes a long time for a pumpkin to grow, and so that's where it's like, this is about maturity and completion. And even, as we're looking at our card numbers as being 20 and 21, those are the last cards in the deck. Full completion and evolution of oneself. This judgment, so much, it's not about, the angel talking to others. It's about a rebirth here. And so, maybe you're breaking out of your body because you do need to get out of the house and you can't stand to be in the house anymore. So those of you that live really sedentary lives and work on the computer from your bed so effectively, and I know that's worked great, you can't take it anymore. This is time for you to evolve. We definitely have a connection with nature. My charm is a squirrel on a tree. You're opening up your heart. You're seeing yourself in a new way. And both of these cards, so powerful about individualism, not what everybody else is thinking. And usually these cards are very social cards. This isn't about that. This is about you deciding who you're going to be without caring what anybody else thinks. And that was one of the aspects when I was looking at what we need to let go of. We had a super social judgment card, and we weren't even looking at corpses. It's just a lot of people looking to the angels for help. And this is, it's you helping yourself. And it's also you not considering what everybody else thinks of you anymore. So that's really powerful stuff. Now, our general consciousness as we move forward in this country, this is an interesting judgment. I've got some darkness here, but there's also, again, there's more that's happening to our, into reestablishing our country and nature. And I know, we have, I forgot what they call it in South Dakota, where we have, Lincoln and the heads up carved into the rock. I know I should know that, I'm sorry. Anyway, there might actually be something else like that that's happening this year, that we're really vamping up the powers of what we find important in nature. And so we might be carving into those rocks and making some historical markers there. And also destination points for people, for us to visit, but maybe people outside of the country to come and visit as we look at reopening borders for travel. We're also, properties with marijuana way on the rise, so we might be seeing more legalization in countries. We're definitely seeing more and more byproducts of CBD, and again, growth, more about gardening, more about nature. The government is going to be very in flux, and it's kind of shaking the wrinkles out and refolding the laundry. That's how I've got to describe it here. And so it's not necessarily that we're changing people, but it's rebuilding the relationships with them. So the people in charge, the people that we count on in our government, are having to go, okay, I had to work with this president in this way, but now I'm working with this president in this way. And it's not a disregard to either one. Some of them might be more comfortable, some of them might be more uncomfortable, but they're navigating that. And there's not a bitterness here. There's an ease at which we're making this happen. So it is going to be shaking it up, but I gotta say, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad shake, and it's not totally rattling. It's just getting the wrinkles out. So that seems super positive. I do think, though, we've got someone here, and I'm inclined to say it's the president, but it might not be, because I'm also looking at a female leader, and so maybe it's the VP. She is about protecting us. She is about protecting the country, whoever this is. And so it might be our vice president, but it could be someone else. This is someone, I don't know if they're given power by the country, but this is someone we've given power to. That could be a social media person. That could be a movie star. We give people power in different ways. And so she is looking out for us and she's going to be a voice that we need to listen to. And there's great comfort that comes from this person. She's not here to change the world. She's not here to shake things up. She's almost here to remind us who we are and what our focuses are. So it's not that it's going to be, she feels very spiritual in nature, in her leadership form. So it's not going to be angry or create anger. It's actually the opposite of that. Okay, now also the other thing that comes up here, breaking into a whole new world. Also acknowledging how travel is going to change this year, because I think we're going to open up travel midsummer. And but I think that we're going to be looking at rules for that in March and how things need to be done. And every country has their own protocol, but I also think there's going to be some real collective thoughts on how we do this as a world, as a planet, to take care of one another. Definitely, again, more focus on like safari type trips and nature. It's not necessarily visiting bustling cities. We're going to be visiting remote places and opening up our remote places for others to see. Fashion is developing in a way that we haven't seen before either, and it's not. We're not trying to build up individual identities around models and megastars and things like that. This is more about what people wear every day. It's more street oriented. Sorry, I've been talking nonstop for a couple hours. I know I'm just here with you guys for 20 minutes, but I've been recording for a while. Yeah, fashion is like, it's taking a step down, and it's not, the designers have to adapt to this, because it's really not about their egos anymore. It's about our society and our culture and what the simplicity needs to look like in that. Oh, there's something too about, defense systems are there, and they're really strong. They've taken a smaller role, but they're very powerful, and it's almost like they're intensified and compacted, but they're also in a safe place. So I don't feel like we're on the brink of war or anything like that. We're just looking at, oh, okay, there's our military system, and it's in good shape. And it's changing and growing too. We've got some rebirth that's happening with that. I'm looking at a baby rhinoceros, so which is what I'm drawing from. So we're protected and we're safe. Now I'm saying that as military. That could be protecting the well-being of our country. Anyway, it looks good. It's not out of control. It's contained, and we're not looking at any kind of like global threats or growth in that area. Okay, so the other thing to take note of is communication. We're going back to pen and pencil. So writing, good old-fashioned letters, because how many emails of resumes are you getting a day? Like, no, this is real communication. And one of the things I find, and I see with people when they text me, is people don't know how to communicate anymore. They'll send me like a flatline text, like, hi. What am I supposed to do with that? I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. It's like, so, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm working on this. I was wondering, do you think you could help me or do a reading for me in this way to help me guide me in this direction? And it's like, okay, let's develop this. Let's grow with this. And so there's definitely a point of wanting to realign how we communicate. I think that's also going to be coming up in schools, because we've lost it. And, yes, we still teach reading and writing, and, but a lot of places we don't teach cursive, and we don't, we can get out of school without knowing how to write. And so there's a much more of a focus on trying to reestablish that, and make ourselves feel better. I think there was a lot of sort of self-pity and needing to And it was warranted, the self-pity in 2020, but we're all breaking free of that now. And it's like, okay, what can I do to grow? So that is going to be our 2021, everyone. That's a general overall look at the US and where we're headed with that. I'm going to be doing more focused readings, and so I hope that you will take a look at those, and feel free to subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram. I have readings posted every Friday on Instagram, just weekly charm readings, and those are very different from what's going to be here on YouTube. So thanks for joining me, and take care.